Today I'm going to show you how to connect your MacBook to a Promethean Active Panel version 2. You'll know if you're working with an Active Panel version 2 based on the front of your board. Today I'm going to show you how to connect your MacBook to a Promethean Active Panel version 2. You'll be able to tell if you're working with a version 2 based on the front of the board. Today I'm going to show you how to connect your MacBook to a Promethean Active Panel version 2. Just want to show you what the front of a version 2 board looks like. So let's start with what you'll need. What you need is going to depend on whether you're working with an HDMI cable or a VGA cable. They're similar in that both of these cables have two of the same ends. However, HDMI is going to be the preferred connecting method because HDMI is going to give you video and sound capabilities, whereas VGA is video only. If you're working with HDMI, you're going to need this little white mini DisplayPort to HDMI adapter. And similarly for VGA, you'll need a mini DisplayPort to VGA adapter. And then regardless, the third cable you'll need is a USB connection, which is going to go from your computer to the Active Panel, and that will enable the touch feature. So step one, the first thing we want to do is make sure that the board is plugged in and that the power switch on the back of the board is flipped on. Step two, make sure that the power button on the front of the panel is also pressed on. You'll know if it's on if there's that green light on the front. If that light is red, you know that you have power, that you're plugged in, but that you need to press the power button on the front of the panel in order to fully turn the board on. Now, if you're connecting with HDMI, which is again the preferred method, we'll start with that. So in using HDMI, you're basically going to have two cable connections that go from the board to your computer. So the first one is going to be that mini DisplayPort to HDMI adapter. This is the end that connects to your Mac, and then this end will connect to the HDMI cord. The HDMI cable is going to connect from that adapter directly to the Promethean board. The second cable connection that you'll need is simply that USB touch cable. This is the end that'll connect to your Mac, and then this end will connect directly to the Active Panel. So let's look at that a little bit closer. On the back side of the board, you'll see this is where the HDMI cable is going to plug in. And then on the other end, it's going to connect to that white adapter piece. And that white adapter is going to go into the port on your MacBook that has this symbol connected to it, which is the mini DisplayPort. And then that end will go into the HDMI cord. The second cable connection is the USB touch port. So it's going to get plugged in here on the back of the board. And then on your computer, it's going to go in any USB port, which is going to be designated by this USB symbol. Now, if you're really lucky and you have this HDMI port on your computer, you won't actually even need the mini DisplayPort adapter. Yay! Now, if you're connecting with VGA, which again is video only, so you won't have audio capabilities if you're using a VGA connection. It's going to look very similar, however. You're going to have your computer, and you're going to have your two lines of connection. So the first one will be to the VGA cable. So you're going to go to your mini DisplayPort to VGA adapter. This end will go in the Mac. This end will connect to the VGA. And then the VGA cable will go from the adapter to the Active Panel. The second cable is going to be exactly the same. It's going to be that USB touch cable, which goes from the MacBook directly to the Active Panel. To give this a closer look, we start with that USB touch cable. It's going to be exactly the same again. It's going to be on the back side of the board. This is where it's going to plug in. And then on your computer, it's going to go in that USB port, which is again designated with this symbol. Depending on what version of Mac you have, that might be on one side of the board or the other. Where this gets a little bit different is where the VGA port is. So the VGA port is actually located on the underside of the panel, and it's going to look just like this. And so you'll connect your VGA cable directly here on the board. And then on the other end, it'll connect to that white adapter, and that white adapter is going to go right into that port on your MacBook, similar to the HDMI adapter. And then the other end of that VGA cord is going to go into that white adapter, which is going to go directly into the MacBook in that same port where the HDMI adapter goes. Now, if you've checked your display settings,